Thank you, David.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Lynchburg. We are glad you are here. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on land originally part of the Monacan Nation. My name is Theo Martin. If you are with us for the first time, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this church community we love. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card on our website, uulynchburg.org, under Sunday services, or fill out the yellow card found in the back of the chair in front of you and place it in the offering basket during the offering. Please take note of the announcements in the bulletin, and if you are on Zoom, you can find them in the Friday e-news.
Please join us this afternoon, starting at 2 in Drysdale Hall, to help make decorations for our float for the Christmas parade. There's something for all ages and abilities, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And Kim made Chex Mix, and we have apple cider. So if for no other reason, you should come for that. Now I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into the service by taking some slow, calming breaths. Now, as we enter into our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice, and I invite the children of RE to share our chalice lighting words. May the light we now kindle
inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, the Spirit of life.
It's so good. You go. Thanks to our ongoing tech problems, we're not flowing very smoothly this morning. Oh, all right. Terry, are you there? I know that worked earlier, but I think we might have.
You're muted, Terry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. I keep getting remuted. A child journeys far from home, fearful and brave, in need of a safe harbor. Guided by our chalice, may we seek to understand the causes of flight, like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness. Let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love. Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land? Our heartfelt message this morning is that migration is an act of love. Let us now rise in body or spirit as we share together our opening hymn, number 317, We Are Not Our Own.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our theme this month explores change. That word has many different meanings depending on the kind of change. But today we will be talking about how almost all of us are immigrants of one kind or another. Immigrants are people who move from one place to another in search of a better life. A lot of us here are immigrants. How many of us were born in Lynchburg? Raise your hand. How many of us came here from someplace else? Some people immigrate from one part of our country to another. Millions of people immigrate from one nation to another, or even across oceans to find a safe, happy, successful place to live and raise their family with hope and possibility. Migration is an act of love. We have people we love in this congregation who have become migrants. Our friends the Judds have moved from Lynchburg to Pennsylvania. While they didn't move a long way from here, they left their house and their friends and all the places they know to make a better life for themselves. They were supposed to be here to talk about their journey today, but unfortunately, their whole family has taken ill with the stomach bug. So they are not going to be with us. But we also have our friends, the Ross Martins, who moved to Michigan for Jason's job and a better life. And they are here on Zoom, hopefully, to talk to us about that today. So Ross Martin family, are you with us?
Yes, I think they are.
Yes, we are. Good
Okay,
morning.
wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about what feelings you had when you decided that moving was an act of love for your family?
They were definitely mixed. I grew up in Amherst County and Lynchburg area. Our kids all grew up in Lynchburg. I don't know if you saw the hands raised. Abe was born in Williamsburg, but grew up in,
I was.
yeah, Theo was born in Williamsburg. We lived there when he was born, but grew up in Lynchburg. So it was mixed emotions, but for us, there was a lot of things that were beneficial beyond just the working considerations. Michigan is actually a little bit better for homeschooling. They don't just take your tax money and run. They actually allow you to use some of that money to do extracurricular programs and things like that, which is kind of nice. So I don't know if you guys want to speak up about how you felt when we first were coming up here. Maybe Theo.
I was kind of too young to really understand what was going on. I thought we were just moving to a new house. That was pretty much most I could understand at the time.
Zana?
Kind of sad because I was gonna move to a new place without all my friends.
Abe?
I felt like, my life is gone. Well, I had like 0 friends in Lynchburg. Took me like, I would say about 5 months to make any friends.
In Lynchburg?
Yeah,
You had no friends there.
I mean, not Lynchburg,
Okay. In Michigan.
in Michigan.
Grand Rapids.
It took me like a whole month to make friends. And then all of a sudden I could make friends so easily.
Yeah, so you made friends really quick. We weren't too worried about that.
What has been hard about adjusting to the move and the change?
So at first, I would say it was leaving friends and family that we had. You know, we still were in contact online to an extent. And for us, though, one of the best things about COVID was that everybody got more used to being online. So that allowed us to continue to be more active members of First UU. It allowed a lot of our other friends in Lynchburg and other areas too, which were maybe not online as much, to be online more. So at first it was missing everyone, but then there's not a lot good out of COVID. But for us, that's the silver lining around that cloud, is that we were able to connect with so many people remotely and virtually that previously hadn't been.
I also have another fairly obvious but notable difference. It's a lot colder here. It's just significantly more drastic weather, I think. It's pretty warm in the summer and really cold in the winter.
I, for one, kind of like that the summer's not quite as hot as Lynchburg. We get similar temperatures, but the humidity's a little less. So we tend to go outside and enjoy the summer more than we did in Lynchburg, because it's not too oppressively hot. Abe, did you have anything that was a big change for you, or something that you had to?
Just really, I just want to say the weather again. like half of the year is just winter. It's over here, the season is mostly just winter.
Well, he says that, but we've had one big snow this year. We had a really unseasonably warm October and November so far this year. Most of the time we've been up here, trick or treating involves heavy coats. This year, not so much. And most of November has been similar temperatures to Lynchburg. So it's been a mild fall for us so far.
And what has made you happy about this big change that came with your move?
Do you want to start something? Okay, Abe, do you have anything? Something that's made you happy?
What's made me happy is over here it's over here there's like a lot over here there's a lot of more beaches, more trees. It just has like a lot more life, you know. And the schools are bigger, so yeah, when my dog chases the squirrels, it would actually be fun looking at.
So if you didn't catch it, yeah, the squirrels are bigger here. We're not that far from Lake Michigan, so there's a lot more easier access for us to get to large bodies of water for swimming and other sorts of stuff. Theo, do you have anything that's made you happy?
Yeah. So they have a school that's in person and online, but it's not just like it has homeschool stuff with it too, extracurricular stuff that you can do. So that's been nice doing that.
Yeah, so again, a lot of programs that we've found in Michigan that we can take advantage of as homeschoolers that we did not have something similar in Virginia. I'll go back to the weather. In the summertime, because we are at a higher latitude and also because we're on the edge of the Eastern time zone, it seems like sunset in the summertime isn't until about 10:15. So plenty of sunlight to enjoy the summer weather, which has been really awesome.
Well, Jason and Theo and Zana and Abe, thank you so much for sharing your family story with us today. Really appreciate it. Your migration was an act of love. Terry?
One of the aspects of our congregation, which I love the most, is how we all participate together in creating our congregation. We give of our time and our ideas and work on different projects like the garden and all the wonderful tech challenges that come with being a hybrid congregation and making Christmas floats so people will know who we are and having our youngest people help with the offering. All of this helps create the community that we love. And we also know that to sustain our community, we need to give generously of our financial gifts. So as we take an offering of our gifts this morning, let it be with gratitude for the people sitting around you, for all the people who, with you and me, help us create and sustain our community.
In our country's history, there have been floods of immigrants moving from one part of the country to another at different times. One of the best-known periods was called the Great Migration. Beginning during the First World War, African Americans, worn down from the racism and oppression in the South, moved north to work in factories. This migration was an act of love. People wanted a better life for their children. One of the children of migrants to the north, Jacob Lawrence, became a great artist who painted the history of the Great Migration and put some of the paintings in a book about his family's history. Here is his story and a story of thousands. Because we really believe in tempting fate this morning, we're going to try a video.
To another edition of Sankofa Read Aloud. Today's story is titled The Great Migration, an American Story, paintings by Jacob Lawrence. I hope that you enjoy this beautiful story. Around the time I was born, many African Americans from the South left home and traveled to cities in the North in search for a better life. My family was part of this great migration. There was a shortage of workers in northern factories because many had left their jobs to fight in the First World War. The factory owners had to find new workers to replace those who were marching off to war. Northern industries offered Southern blacks jobs as workers and lent them money to be repaid later for their railroad tickets. The northbound trains were packed with recruits. Nature had ravaged the South. Floods ruined farms. The boll weevil destroyed cotton crops. The war had doubled the cost of food, making life even harder for the poor. Railroad stations were so crowded with migrants that guards were called in to keep order. The flood of migrants northward left crops back home too dry and spoil. For African Americans, the South was barren in many ways. There was no justice for them in the courts, and their lives were often in danger. Although slavery had long been abolished, white landowners treated the black tenant farmers harshly and unfairly. And so, the migration grew. Segregation divided the South. The black newspapers told of better housing and jobs in the North. Families would arrive very early at railroad stations to make sure they could get on the northbound trains. Early arrival was not easy because African Americans found on the streets could be arrested for no reason. And the migrants kept coming. In the South, there was little opportunity for education, and children labored in the fields. These were more reasons for people to move north, leaving some communities deserted. There was much excitement and discussion about the Great Migration. Agents from northern factories flocked into southern counties and towns looking for laborers. Families often gathered to discuss whether to go north or to stay south. The promise of better housing in the north could not be ignored. The railroad stations were crowded with migrants. Letters from relatives in the north and articles in the black press portrayed a better life outside the South. Many migrants arrived in Chicago. In Chicago and other cities, they labored in the steel mills and on the railroads. And the migrants kept coming. Southern landowners, stripped of cheap labor, tried to stop the migration by jailing the labor agents and the migrants. Sometimes the agents disguised themselves to avoid arrest. But the migrants were often taken from railroad stations and jailed until the trains departed. Black and white Southern leaders met to discuss ways to improve conditions to stop the flow of workers north. Although life in the North was better, it was not ideal. Many migrants moved to Pittsburgh, which was a great industrial center at the time. Although they were promised better housing in the North, some families were forced to live in overcrowded and unhealthy quarters. The migrants soon learned that segregation was not confined to the South. Many Northern workers were angry because they had to compete with the migrants for housing and jobs. There were riots. Longtime African American residents living in the North did not welcome the newcomers from the South and often treated them with disdain. The migrants had to rely on each other. The storefront church was a welcoming place and the center of their lives in joy and in sorrow. Black professionals such as doctors and lawyers soon followed their patients and clients north. Female workers were among the last to leave. Life in the North brought many challenges, but the migrants' lives had changed for the better. The children were able to go to school and their parents gained the freedom to vote. And the migrants kept coming. Theirs is a story of African American strength and courage. I share it now as my parents told it to me because their struggle and triumphs ring true today. People all over the world are still on the move, trying to build better lives for themselves and for their families.
No matter where people move, either within a country or across an ocean, people seek the comfort and safety of people who will care for and protect them. In our own way, we do that here in our congregation. Each week, we share our joys and concerns, trusting that our community will hear and hold sacred what we share.
Hugh, are you there?
Yes, he is. Would you like him to start his part?
Yeah, so I started it, but if he wants to pick up from every year from November until January and finish from there, that would be wonderful.
Okay. You got it, buddy. So here we go.
Every year from November until January, we join the UUSC in the
You're muted. Yeah, if you could unmute.
Sorry.
every year from November until January, we join the UUSC in their guest at your table program. We take home a guest at your table box and put it on our kitchen counter or table. We put the insert page with the pictures of this year's guests next to the box. At least once a day, we pause for a moment and look at the box and the pictures. We think about how hard it is to move or migrate. We send our caring thoughts to everyone who is in the process of migrating. We can put coins in the box for the UUSC each day, or we can put money or check
the box on January, or a check in the box on January 1st and bring the box back to church. If you are on Zoom today and you would like to get a guest at your box, please email Courtney and we will get one to you. Our thoughts and financial contributions are helping people all around the world thanks to UUSC. It is almost like we can reach out and give the world a gentle hug. Join us now to learn about this year's Guest at Your Table program.
Thank you, Hugh. All right. And I am not as cute as Renee Judd, but I'm what you have this morning. So every person who becomes a migrant for safety or to find shelter, stability, or belonging wants to find a home. But often home is complicated. It is a place and it is a longing. It is a physical structure and it is a community of people. It is an anchor and an imagined ideal. Home is a fundamental necessity. Home is the foundation upon which we build our lives, and the outcome is countless acts of love and repair. The work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, is fundamentally about home in so many ways. The right to security within our homes, the right to restore our homes when they are ravaged by natural or human-made disaster, and the right to seek new homes elsewhere. The 4 UUSC partners highlighted in this year's Guest at Your Table program each share stories that are primarily about the homes they are fighting for. Be that the villages they are trying to salvage from the effects of climate change, the communities that they are trying to hold together as they navigate disaster and persecution, or the necessity of finding a new place to call home away from unremitting violence and economic devastation. When you collect your change in your Guest at the Table box or write a check, you are helping those who are most vulnerable. The organizations that UUSC supports are people like, Abe, are you able to share?
Look for the picture of Adela on your insert. Adela Ramirez, a human rights advocate with the UUSC partner in Guatemala, says the majority of people who live in conditions that are not good and poverty prevents them from fully living their lives. People cross the border and search for new opportunities for their families. That is why we always say that migrating is an act of love. Migration is an act of love.
Thank you, Abe. And Kim is here to share our next one.
I am not Nora Judd. I'm sure she would be more charming at doing this than I. Look for the picture of Axel in your program insert. Axel is the director of Rural Community Workers Alliance, a grassroots organization based in northern Missouri that supports the rights of workers facing unjust working conditions in the rural Midwest, particularly immigrant and refugee workers in the meat processing industry. Noting the irony, Axel explains that meat processing and other food service workers who supply food for others often endure extreme hardship in order to be able to put food on their own tables. With UUSC's support, the organization works to empower workers and encourage solidarity across racial, ethnic, and other differences. These workers are vulnerable, but they came here and work hard because they know that their migration is an act of love for their families.
Look for a picture of Myra Doggypaw on your insert. Afraid for her life, Myra Doggypaw fled her home in Burma, also known as Myanmar, in 1995. Myra was forced to escape from her home because of the violence and human rights abuses so commonly experienced by ethnic minorities in Burma. It was a living nightmare, she remembers. I fled with just the clothes on my back. Now settled in the United States, Myra sees it as her responsibility to advocate for the people of Burma who continue to face the abuses like those she fled, as well as grave dangers in speaking out. She feels it is her job to let others know about the suffering of her people. She has a voice and she is safe here. Her migration to this country is an act of love by helping the people of Burma. The UUSC supports her work with the U.S. Campaign for Burma, USCB.
Look at the picture of Kristen Guzman Merlo on your insert. Kristen is the co-director of FEM, Fundación Entre Mujeres, an organization that's revolutionizing farming practices and gender justice in northern Nicaragua by encouraging women's farming cooperatives. Many times people move or migrate away from their homes in Central America because they cannot make a living for themselves and their families. The situation is especially hard on women. UUSC knows that if we can help people thrive where they are, in the place they love, they will not have to migrate. As a farming cooperative, FEM accompanies women as they gain access to their own land. It provides training on how to become hibiscus farmers, beekeepers, and coffee growers, and helps members process and sell their products at a fair price. What we want is a collective transformation in the communities of this country and all over the world, says Christian, who is the co-director of FEM.
All right, as we mentioned earlier, if you would like a box and you're on Zoom, just drop me an email and we will get one to you. And currently Nora and Kim are passing them out to everyone here in the sanctuary. All right, for those in the Drysdale Hall, we will get you one after the service. And if anyone here missed getting one, feel free to pick one up from the table on your way out of the sanctuary. Now, please rise and body your spirit for hymn number 159, This Is My Song.
As true and high as
Now I invite the children of RE to lead us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until
together again.
Very good.
Remember poet Benjamin Zephaniah's words. We can all be refugees. Sometimes it takes only a day. Sometimes it takes only a handshake or a paper that is signed. We all came from refugees. Nobody simply just appeared. So let us go remembering that migration is an act of love. Blessed be.
Thank you. All right. Thank you to everybody that helped with coffee hour.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
And many thanks to all of our young people who taught us some important things about migration.